All right, so let's jump right into it, Ed. Welcome to the Sofa Kingdom podcast with your hosts, Nelson,
Ian,
and Magnificent. Perfect. So that's how we like to roll. You know that. So I definitely wanted to bring something up, a little bit of a documentary that I seen this week on Netflix about video games, and it's called Night Trap. So this video game was on par with Mortal Kombat in the hearings originally to be what was presented as evidence to why video games are destroying children's lives.
They always try this. They always try
it. And when you watch the documentary, you're like, holy shit, I could see where they're coming from. Like, they picked the two worst games at the time that they could present, and they made a very substantial argument. And this is essentially what got like video game ratings.
This is before Manhunt.
Way before Manhunt.
Yeah, that's why they had to start. Doing the ratings themselves so they wouldn't get shut down.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So the game is horrendous. It's called Night Trap. The guy's intentions were good. He wanted to do like a choose your adventure. You're the hero of a story. Young kids trying to trap people from breaking into your house.
It's never good when you start out like that. Like, the guy's intentions were good.
No, yeah, they were good. Yeah. But what happened was he got railroaded by the people that were financing the game. So basically at the time, everybody wanted to create something that would essentially sell toys. So if you weren't creating something that sold toys, you know, you had a hard time.
The Star Wars model.
Exactly. So Night Trap was a game that was supposed to be about ninjas being trapped by you as the player, choosing different ways to trap him in the house.
Was this before Home Alone or after Home Alone?
It might be around the same time as Home Alone.
It sounds like wholesome family fun.
Was the main character a small blonde boy with blue eyes?
Fuck, it was. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He actually was a brunette. So,
never mind. Completely different.
So exactly what was happening was he wanted to do a game with ninjas. Then they're like, no, you can't use ninjas because we don't want kids at home to emulate something that they could do in real life. We don't want kids picking up a knife or a sword. He's like, even ninja stars? They're like, yeah, ninja stars. Yeah, because ninja stars are readily available in every household. Yeah.
We kept them in the drawer.
Sure. And at this time, he still had to like explain to people what fucking ninjas were.
So what kind of ninjas are these?
The worst kind, because
no knives, no shuriken, nothing.
Right. Like, so they ditched ninjas. So he's like, how about we do something scary like vampires? They're like, yes, we love vampires, only if they have no teeth and they can't bite. He's like, so not vampires? They're like, no, vampires. And they can't move fast. They have to walk slowly. So slow moving with no teeth vampires. They had to come up with some ridiculous name for them. And the way that they would attack people is with a device, a collar, that they would essentially put around your neck or your leg or your arm to suck the blood out of you to later use for themselves.
Because they had no teeth.
Because they were starving because they had no teeth.
So we have
toothless.
We have toothless vampires
that move like the penguin.
That are now feeding off you through jewelry.
Yes, essentially.
This is an interesting epidemic of vampires with no teeth.
Yeah.
Why didn't Twilight capitalize on this?
They should have.
They should have.
They would have.
I would have watched. I may have watched one
as well.
That's what I say. They needed an appropriate level of sparkle. I don't know if the consoles could do that yet.
So, long story short, the game was a huge flop as far as the gaming industry was concerned. But the consumers, because it went to court with Mortal Kombat, were eating it up. They couldn't keep it on the shelves because everybody's thinking to themselves, well, if we shouldn't have it, then we want it.
Yeah.
And this was a game that was sold with none other than the Sega CD package.
Oh, fantastic.
So
there's a bestseller.
Yeah. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because actually, I'd say not too long ago, they brought it back as a special edition to the Nintendo Switch of all consoles.
Well, Nintendo is trying to get a more hardcore audience. They're trying to get more adult games because they are seen as the children's platform.
Right. No better way to get a hardcore audience than Toothless Vampire.
Right. But if you fancy yourself the family console, Is Night Trap really the route to go?
Did they at least update the graphics, new sprites, something?
No, I mean, nobody drinks Sprite. I'm a Coca-Cola guy myself. But no, apparently, yeah, they updated it and they put it out as like an anniversary edition. But to me, still just an odd choice of games to bring back to what is essentially a family console.
Yeah, I wonder. Like we mentioned all these, like the Mortal Kombat, the Manhunt, the Night Trap, the Postal, all these games that were controversial to us. Like Japan's come up with some pretty messed up games. I wonder how they would stack up to some of the games that Japan's made that like you can't even get on any consoles here. Like.
But Japan's got free reign. I mean, even for their television shows, their animation, they have a line of like, some of this is not for children. These are, these aren't. And their society as a whole understands that.
Right.
Things that look like they're for children are not.
Right.
In America, if it looks like it's for children, they don't care. They automatically jump down your throat like you can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, this is coming from a culture where you can just buy used women's panties in vending machines. You know? So,
Yes.
I mean,
Eddie has several of those that he ordered on eBay, I
No,
believe.
it's OnlyFans. They sell them on OnlyFans.
All right,
Yes.
my bad. Yes. How about you, Ian?
and by the way, he only has 5. I'll be by to pick up my key later.
Oh, so some of those were for you. Got you.
Yeah,
Yes.
got you.
Oh, my
Okay,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
How about you, Ian? Anything interesting this week?
You know, we got the UFC fight tonight in Houston. We got Derek Lewis fighting Cyril Gane. I mean, not really much to say about that. It's kind of a snub. They kind of took Francis Ngannou's belt from him because he speaks out one time. He speaks out one time about fighter pay. You know, like, wait a minute, these YouTubers make millions of dollars. How? What are we doing wrong? And all of a sudden, the next month, hey, we have a fight for the interim heavyweight belt.
That's fucked up. What they realized is they had like another John Jones on their hand, or like another what's that really light featherweight Mighty Mouse Johnson?
Yeah, Demetrius,
where
yeah.
nobody was gonna stack up to beat this guy and take that belt from him. So
Yeah.
they're like, you know what? This is an opportunity to shake up the division and put other people in there.
But how petty is that? Where like you put out one like tweet to slight your boss, and they build a whole event around stealing your belt from you. Like,
Dana White is the epitome of fucking petty. All right.
He'll let you know real quick. He has no problem with stepping all over you and taking. He doesn't care about the heat he gets from it.
No, he's like Puff Daddy.
No, he doesn't.
to the
He doesn't.
MMA
He doesn't
industry.
He doesn't do a good job of hiding how he feels.
Did you see the suite that he's staying in on this weekend for the fight?
Yes, in the it's the name. It's the hotel in Houston. I'm trying to think of the
It's
name
the
of it.
entire floor. It has a basketball court, its own gym. It's got
In the
a
room.
full stocked
In the
bar
room?
in the fucking
In the
room.
room.
Damn. Listen, if I had that kind of money, I'd do it too.
Basketball court.
It's absurd. There was a basketball court. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And all the comments below it are like, so this is where the fighter pay goes.
Yeah.
And it's all that kind of shit underneath. And it's clear he just doesn't care. He doesn't read it.
He enjoys the controversy because either way, they said like, you know, any press is good press. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if they're talking shit. They're talking about the UFC.
Yeah, he's
But,
the big
yeah.
boy in town. So
But
people are gonna watch.
It's
he knows what
actually
he's doing.
a big fight, and it's for the interim heavyweight belt. So it's going to be the guy that theoretically is going to fight Francis whenever
Right.
Francis is back in action. Because Stipe, we just got word the other day that Stipe may be signed up to fight John Jones.
Oh, that
John
would be
Jones'
fantastic.
first fight at heavyweight is against former champion Stipe
Okay.
Miocic.
That's a tough fight.
That's a hell
either
of a
way.
fight.
But you know what? For John Jones,
And if John comes in there and ices Stipe, there's nothing to do but give him the belt. I mean, give him the title shot. He gets it. I mean,
yeah, but again, that comes down to, is the UFC willing to pay? Because John Jones said he's willing to fight the fight, but he wants the money. And so that it all comes back down to fighter pay.
He's lost so much money from all the violations and all the times
True.
he wasn't allowed to fight because of all his bullshit outside the ring.
drunk. Anabolic steroids.
Illegal substances. But no, yeah, for
Dick
sure.
pills. So
I mean,
but you got to say in the only person that can beat John Jones is John Jones. I
Right.
mean, we've seen that.
He's been his own
beaten
worst enemy.
Everybody.
yeah.
Do you
I
think
agree.
he loses the asterisk behind his name at some point in time?
Absolutely.
Because anywhere he goes with all his wins,
Absolutely.
there's always the...
Anderson Silva, as great as he is, we all talk. I mean, what he did, beating the guys the way he beat him. If you look Anderson Silva's fight against Dan Henderson back in the day at 185, and the way he just beat the ever-loving shit out of outclassed him completely, outstruck him, then submitted him quick, easy.
He was Matrix in the ring.
He was the Michael Jordan of MMA back in the day, but there's always going to be that thing on his record of 1, performance-enhancing drugs.
Sure.
Got busted for it. 2, stayed too long.
Yeah.
Stayed too long. I mean, he got the Chuck Liddell thing.
Yeah, I mean,
where he
at
ended
this
up on
point-
everybody's highlight reel.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I don't even think of the issues he had with the drugs as much as I think of he stayed too long. When I think of Anderson Silva, he was the greatest at one point, and he just stuck around too long. The drugs is not even a second thought, let alone a third or fourth, when I'm thinking of Anderson Silva.
Now, going back to the Derek Lewis fight, who's your pick for winning this fight?
And here's the thing with Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, I've lost so much betting against him because Volkov against Alexander Volkov. Volkov is teeing off on him, peeling him apart, giant ass Russian, just outboxing him the whole fight. 20 seconds left in the 5th round? He gets murked.
Yep.
I mean, same thing. He's going up against Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades, fantastic wrestler, on a tear. Everyone's like, oh, he's on his way to the next title shot. What happens? An uppercut from hell just banishes Curtis to the dark realm. And that's the thing about Derek Lewis. He's not outstanding in any area, but he has that God-given, blessed, Texas hard-ass punching power, and at any moment he can unleash it.
And he has one of the best Instagram pages.
Oh, yes.
In the game. He is hilarious.
Yeah,
he brought so much attention to himself with "My balls is hot," and then just from there.
And that wasn't even the first ridiculous comment.
No.
I remember when he beat Travis Brown, and that whole thing was going on about Travis Brown being like a woman beater, having that domestic violence against him, and he literally beats the man, and then on air says, "Where Ronda Rousey fine ass at?" I was like, "What? You knocked the man out and call out his wife?
How
What?"
about when he's holding his stomach and they're like, "Oh, you look like you hurt your stomach." He's like, "No, I gotta take a shit."
Yeah.
You gotta love the man. Like, for me, I want Derek Lewis to win, whether people are saying he's gonna be the one to win or not. To me, I like Derek Lewis enough. I think he's a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's the underdog a lot of times, and
I think tonight
around to win.
he may be higher ranked, but tonight I think Cyril Gane is got to be the favorite on a lot of people's cards. Cyril Gane represents the evolution of the sport.
Right.
I mean, France just legalized MMA not too long ago, and Cyril Gane is a gigantic, athletic, just ripped Muay Thai champion from France who also has a heel hook win in the UFC heavyweight division. How many UFC heavyweights have a heel hook win? He's very technically sound, and he shows the evolution of the sport. Sure. He may be the next wave of heavyweight fighters we see coming out of Europe. And if you think about it, he's from the gym that Francis Ngannou arrived at when he came from Cameroon to France. He's the first fighter that's like staying from that gym. Like he literally is French MMA.
I mean, so he could essentially come in here, win this fight, and really put the mark on that gym too, right? Like,
yes, and it would set up a good story.
Major monsters coming out of that academy.
Absolutely. And it would set up a hell of a... Either way, whoever wins tonight, it sets up a great story for the title fight because, one, Derek Lewis wins. You have the only person that has a win over Francis Ngannou that Francis Ngannou hasn't avenged.
Yes.
Stipe did, but then Francis iced him. So... And Cyril Gane, it would be a good story because, one, 2 gigantic, intimidating presences, I mean, physically, and he's fighting out of the home gym that Francis was at while he was in Paris. I get that a lot, too.
Like, when I walk into the room, they're like...
Very physical, yes.
Physical, dominating...
I'll never forget the first time I saw you. I was terrified. Terrified. I almost took my belt off and left. It was bad. It was bad.
Oh, man.
But my prediction for tonight, I saw a meme and it summed everything up. It said, Cyril's the better striker. Cyril's better conditioned. Cyril has better fight IQ. So Derek Lewis will probably knock him out in the 3rd round.
So that's 2 for Derek Lewis. Ed, what about you? What's your pick?
I want Lewis to win.
Yeah.
I enjoy him. He's just a fun character to watch. And I want to see that train keep rolling down the tracks.
All right.
There you go. So there's 3 people hoping the American hometown Houston guy gets it done. And by the time you guys listen to this podcast, we'll know the answer.
Yeah. What about you, Ed? Anything new and interesting?
Yeah. So this week I had started playing Outer Worlds. So I play a lot of single-player games. So I play on my own time. I'm never in a big rush to jump on the game the second it comes out. So this one's it's maybe a year. It's not terribly old.
I've heard there's some similarities to Fallout there. Is that correct?
There is. So the creators of this game is Obsidian. Obsidian was the original creators of like Fallout 2. So Fallout when it was on the PC.
I was gonna say, why is that familiar?
Yes.
Yeah.
So before Bethesda took over, Obsidian was the people that created Fallout. So Bethesda took over. They ran with it. They did great. Obsidian has a very good track record. They also did Fallout New Vegas, which is one of the most acclaimed Fallout games as
Did
well.
they also do Animal Crossing?
They might have not.
What about Viva Pinata? Do they have
We
a
didn't
hand
say
in it?
Viva Pinata yet, so we got to bring that up.
Do they have a hand in it?
But they do RPG games that are very much like the games Bethesda does, but much more of a gray in the missions. It's not very good or evil. A lot of times you're trying to figure out what's the better choice, but the choices you're presented with, you're like, both of these fucking suck. And it's hard to figure out which one is the better way to go, which makes the
kind
game
of a cool approach.
Yes, yeah. So they really do make the game much more ambiguous as to what's the better way to go. And you don't find out until later on down the line.
Right.
And
Sounds like an interesting game.
it's an excellent game. If you like Fallout, it's essentially right now, it's probably the closest you get in a Fallout in space. It's got the same dark sense of humor. It's got the same style of exploration, except, it's not all gray like Fallout usually is. It's actually got some color and some life to the worlds that they're on.
Yeah, not a lot of happiness in the landscape of Fallout, believe it or not.
No,
Yeah.
not a lot of happiness. There's not a lot of happiness.
Surprise, a game
Yeah.
named Fallout. No happiness.
Yeah, not a lot of romance options in post-apocalyptic America.
Yeah, Fallout 76 was probably the only one that really had a lot of light in the world. But then when you start, like with any Fallout game, you start getting into reading the stuff on like the computer terminals and all the hacking and all that, you're like, this shit gets real dark. And it's the same thing with Outer Worlds, where you're having corporations that are essentially recreated slavery. They sent these people
Never a good thing. We're not fans of slavery here on this
to
podcast.
a whole new solar
Not at
system,
all.
Not at
and these
all.
people are completely dependent on these corporations, and these corporations just, they got them stuck, and there's nothing they could do but follow what the corporations are telling them to do.
This sounds eerily similar to like how our world is.
Yes, it is an appropriate game for the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
And
Jeff Bezos.
yeah, Jeff Bezos, what do we know?
it's
Praise be to Jeff Bezos.
Oh, I mean, yeah, praise be. The fuck that guy.
It's a fantastic game, and they one of the next projects they have coming out is Avowed. That's an Obsidian game as well.
Nice.
So
Obsidian sounds like a dark organization.
It does.
Yes.
It really does.
Sounds like it should be part of DC Comics.
They-
Oh, foreshadowing.
I was going to say the Illuminati, but DC Comics works, especially for this episode. So, diving right into it, this episode, we're going to talk about the differences between DC and Marvel. And there are definitely some distinct differences,
Yes.
as well as there are some similarities, especially with how these two companies came about really being created. I mean, when you think about comics, when you think about the art form, it's a United States created art form.
It's an American thing.
Yeah, the genre of comic books, like it goes back to like, I would say like the 60s, maybe even earlier than that. But when they first started, it was around the times of like the Great Depression, where like people weren't going out and to the movies, or they weren't going out doing these elaborate things. It was like they had to stay home. They had a little bit of money, so it was a cheap medium for them to escape reality.
Yeah, I believe a lot of them came off of, originally there were magazines, and then some of those stories spun off into comics.
Yeah, so in the beginning, like comics wasn't even a genre. It was like westerns, sci-fi, detective magazines. That's basically what everybody was creating. And then DC came along, and they created Superman. So they actually were calling it like the Superman genre for a while there, until other characters started being created. Superman was such a huge thing. I believe it was Action Comics at the time, but before Action Comics, they were called Fun Comics. You know, and they had
Not as catchy.
Not as catchy at all.
No.
And they eventually wound up being Detective Comics, which is DC Comics, and that's where they ran with the ball for there. But it was Superman.
In Detective Comics, that's where the ray of sunshine known as Batman came from, correct?
Yes.
Yes. That ray of sunshine.
That's
that
where
was
he
beating up
debuts.
mobsters and
Yes.
goons in the
Yes.
street, and that's basically what Superman was in the beginning. He was just like the guy, didn't speak much, steamrolled villains, handled like domestic violence disputes.
Couldn't fly at first, you know. Just jumped really high.
He was leaping
He was quite the track athlete, apparently.
Yeah,
in a cape and underwear.
yeah.
But
More power than a locomotive, which I've seen locomotives hit bridges and stop. So
Yeah,
I mean,
This
he must have got stronger over the years.
This is true.
Yeah.
But like when you discuss the differences between like the Marvel and the DC, really like DC was just like about the superhero doing heroics. And when you dove into Marvel, they were more about the people behind the masks also doing heroics. And it's funny, like the evolution of comics went with the time periods.
Yeah.
Like
Kind
that,
of like how Captain America's involvement during World War II.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
I believe
the whole propaganda behind it.
yeah, his first cover, Captain America, was him coming on the scene, punching Adolf Hitler in the face.
Fantastic cover, by the way.
Yes, it was.
One
And
of
at
the great
time,
moments in superhero history.
Also considered very provocative
Yep.
because they're like they're punching a real life world leader who is killing people
In the face.
in the face. Yeah. But a lot of the writers were immigrants.
Yes.
A lot of Jewish immigrants, as a matter of fact. Because, America was the land of acceptance of immigrants creating this country. And a lot of those immigrants came to this country with beliefs and ideals that America was a better place.
Yeah.
So it translated into the books and the stories that they wrote and they told.
And if you think about Superman in himself, he is like the ultimate immigrant. I mean, he
Yes.
came here from another planet, a whole nother world. And not only did he completely integrate and get raised by an American family,
He was the pinnacle of
Yeah,
the American ideal.
and he's supposed to be the shining example that we all follow.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's like the ultimate immigrant. I mean,
Yeah.
which is why Lex Luthor can't stand him.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Racist
because
ass.
he was also like, Lex Luthor, if you think about it, he's like the epitome of the corporate greed, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's like boy
Donald
genius
Trump.
with a lot,
Sorry, it went down the wrong pipe.
with a lot of toys,
$1 million.
and
It went
money,
the wrong way.
$1 million.
Wrong pipe.
Small loan.
Small one.
Yeah,
Small one.
but when you dive into like the differences, like to me, I think where Marvel shines, I think they're a great fit with Disney, right?
Yeah.
because they're fun,
Colorful.
they're outlandish, and they stay in that lane really well. I think where DC is kind of faltered in the cinematic scene of things is that they were trying to emulate the Marvel
Success.
success and trying to do what they were doing.
They're trying to do it too quick.
Exactly.
Yes.
The Marvel, I mean, hell, when you look at like when they released Iron Man, the first one, and then the Incredible Hulk, and then like if you look at the way they did it, they took a decade to set up that first Avengers initiative.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
they prepped us for 10 years before they hit us with the Avengers.
But they had a plan too.
Right.
Like when they
Yeah.
were creating Iron Man, they flew in all of the best minds of Marvel and Kevin Feige
Yeah.
into the same room, and they formed a team for Marvel Studios. And they were like, we're going to put our investment in Iron Man, and if this works out, then we're going to steamroll with the rest of these projects.
And I think they
Yeah.
just tried to follow the archetype too close.
Yeah.
Like Marvel had this type of humor that
Yeah.
just fueled their movies.
Right.
It was so well timed, so well written, and since they took their time, it worked. And with the one thing that bugged me with the DC is it felt rushed. Like a lot of the humor felt
It felt forced.
It felt like the writer was like they had a gun to his head.
I mean,
like
it's
they're
not-
like, we got to get this movie out in a
Be
month.
funny. You
Like-
better be funny.
Like they're like they're beating him in the head with like make me laugh, make me laugh. Like he's going fuck. Like,
Yeah, they brought the jester in front of the king. They're like, make me laugh, clown.
You know what's amazing is
he's like fuck, he's gonna cut my feet off.
Oh God. Why?
this isn't the first
I
time
could have been a lawyer.
DC is trying to play catch up with Marvel.
Right.
At a certain point when the comics were really going and Marvel was really at its stride, DC was deliberately trying to figure out what they were doing different than Marvel was doing
Right.
to kind of catch up. And Stan Lee would joke about the things he would do to throw them off, deliberately making like the run this week, all the comics have a particular color on the cover, or there's a particular pose that they're making. He would deliberately throw them off by just messing around
With the formula.
Yeah, and what it really came down to was, especially at that time, a lot of the DC comics were almost gods among men.
Right.
These indestructible characters among regular people doing amazing things.
Right.
And Marvel was a lot of men becoming gods. These fallible characters that had other issues outside of what they were already trying to do,
Right.
but trying to be a better person along the way.
Right.
Sure.
And DC's
Whereas
always been...
Superman was like punching stars in half.
Yeah,
Like,
but not to keep shitting on DC, because DC does have a shine, and it's in the dark areas, right?
Right.
Yes.
Like when you think
mean-
of like the John Constantine.
You
Look
It
at,
doesn't-
look at how
yes.
successful some of their genres are. Look, I mean, like DC, you're right, it's darker, but I mean, look at Batman. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole like how
Yeah,
many
there's Dark
times it's
Knight.
been rehashed. How many? Like, there's so many different versions. It's so successful and such a relatable character.
Oh, you know,
Like-
that Batman at one point was almost gonna get written off the shelves because they decided, they brought in some writers and they were like, oh, we're gonna bring in like a kid aspect to it, the Batman, the Batwoman, the Batgirl,
Yes.
the Boy Wonder, and then the Bat Dog, and like Batman's out there fighting alongside of like firefighters, and
Yeah.
they're like,
Can-
oh
can
no,
we-
this isn't what Batman does.
Can
No.
we just get Robin some pants? Like, that's, like, it's been a problem with me for a while.
You know,
Like, I-
in the comics, they
No
originally
pants for
they,
that,
no,
man.
green,
eventually-
green thong.
No.
You know,
Yeah.
here you go, Robin.
they eventually got there
cartwheels.
with the whole Bat family theme, but it was almost a whole series of orphans and abandoned children and people who had nowhere else to go. So you now have Batman, and then you have Jason Todd, and you have Damian Wayne, and you have Batwoman, and
Charlie from the Chocolate
So
Factory.
let me break this down. The first Robin comes in, right? Grows up, gets past puberty. Batman loses interest in him, and he becomes Nightwing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then the other kid comes in, Todd.
Jason
Yep.
Todd.
Right, and then the Joker beats his ass with a crowbar, and then
Dies,
he
comes back,
comes
Red Hood.
back Red Hood, thanks to
Yes.
Ra's al Ghul's.
Who is an amazing character in
Yes.
itself.
So then there's like a child somewhere.
Ra's al
Wayne-
Ghul.
Yeah, right. Damian
Wayne. It's Ra's al Ghul's daughter. She drugs him and rapes him, essentially. Yes.
Yeah. Oh well, that's just getting God, such a
That's
happy.
why I said
See, I love
DC
that.
dark.
Batman's such
DC
such a happy character arc. And then somehow he brought Gordon's daughter in
Yes.
Yes.
to become like what, Batgirl or Batwoman? Which one is it?
Batgirl.
Batgirl.
Batgirl eventually becomes Batwoman.
Batwoman,
And
yes. But then the
again,
Joker shoots her in the spine.
yes,
paralyzes
paralyzes her.
her.
Oracle.
Another happy
Correct.
story. Batman the Killing Joke.
Yes.
A great cartoon.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Which the cartoons is what DC does amazingly well.
Yes, they do.
That's such an important point to make. I mean, I hate when people go like, "Oh, it's a cartoon." Just call it pause. Like some people that think like your cartoons in real life. Like, relax,
Yeah,
chill out.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like good storytelling is good storytelling.
Absolutely.
And if you're overlooking the animated side of it, DC's animated cinematic universe is unbelievable. If you have HBO Max, you have access to almost all of it.
Yes.
And the Justice League Dark, the Flashpoint Paradox,
Harley Quinn.
the whole show, both seasons.
Amazing.
Yeah, Batman Under the Red Hood. I mean, these movies, they literally match up to almost any live action Marvel movie that's out there. You just need to take a look at them. I mean,
And it's amazing because that's the part that they're really doing the best. And a lot of that is really kind of taking like one shots. It's taking, a couple of comics, that particular story, putting it into animation. But I had been watching a bunch of them lately, and there's a little bit after a while where you realize they're all stories. None of them are particularly connecting other than the characters.
Right.
It's like DC, the animation's fantastic. I love that portion of it, but they're not even taking that and trying to stitch it into a singular universe, which is what they're trying to do with their movies to copy Marvel,
Right.
instead of taking the thing they're already doing well.
And keeping to
yeah,
that formula.
we know who Batman is.
Yeah.
We know who the Green Lantern is.
Can we
Like,
stop
just tell the stories.
shooting his
Yeah.
parents?
Okay, wait a second.
Jesus.
And every time we introduce the
Yeah.
poor bastard, we
Yeah.
know
The
they
pearl
die.
full-
Little
Falling
Bruce
is
Wayne
amazing.
can only take so much.
All right, so we have to discuss this since we're on the subject of Batman.
Dead parents?
Who is the worst Batman of all time.
Oh Jesus! Wow,
Is
we're
it
taking a turn here.
Titties, George Clooney. Because that suit with the nipples was horrendous.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer.
There were some nice nipples
Now,
though.
Michael Keaton.
Are we judging them?
Just the movies. Just the movies.
We need to leave Val Kilmer out of this. Okay, after we've done Val Kilmer too much injustice already.
I'm your Huckleberry. And then we have Christian Bale. Right? Those are essentially the four cinematic.
Now, you're saying Batman.
Are we leaving
judging
Adam
them-
West out?
Are we judging them by Bruce Wayne
He would be
also?
like a TV Batman. Did he ever do a movie?
There was probably a movie.
There
Yeah,
were
there was a movie.
movies.
All right,
Yes.
so we'll bring Adam West into here too.
Adam
Let
West.
me tell you, as far as physiques are concerned, Adam West was the best out of all of them. He was your everyman
Shark spray, man.
with the weak ass utility
spray.
belt. Shark spray.
You gotta have shark spray in that utility
I have
belt.
shark spray.
And then the shark
in my
exploded,
car.
by the way.
I live
the shark
in Florida.
exploded.
Of course, I have shark spray.
Now, the only thing when you're judging the Batmans is every time they did a series of movies, the tone was always different. And
Right.
that Batman fit that tone. It's not like Superman, where a lot of the Superman movies, the tone was the same.
Right.
So you can judge the Superman a little more readily because they were going for a similar tone whenever they did
Okay, so
Superman.
let's just take it as if you had to go into a fight, right? Which Batman would you take with you if you had to fight a supervillain, right? I personally, hands down, Christian Bale. That to me is the epitome of all the Batmans. Now, Michael Keaton's a close second. I have like an affection towards those Tim Burton movies, and his portrayal of Batman was dope as fuck. But
That's because
to
you had
me-
Tim Burton. You had Tim Burton film in it. You know?
Yeah.
Dark.
Yes.
Dark on
but
dark.
to me, Christian Bale's Batman was the best Batman. Oh, and we can't forget Ben Affleck. I mean, we can forget Ben Affleck, but also Ben Affleck.
Ooh, yeah.
Batfleck.
I would say, okay, yeah. I mean, we're going with best. I'll go with you with that. Christian Bale. I think the fight scenes, some of the fight scenes in those movies, from like The Dark Knight and particularly Dark Knight Rises, were a little cheesy, a little slow. But hey, the Batman, I mean, Christian Bale had the physique, though.
If
He had
we're
the
just-
physique.
All right, but what was it that Bane said?
Listen, if we're just-
Oh,
If
wait,
we're-
wait, exactly. No, you summed it up. What was it that Bane said? When I watched The Dark Knight Rises, it was a fight between two guys with speech impediments. You got one guy over there, like, where's Rachel? And then the guy trying to come back at him.
Yeah, but listen, man, that was actually pretty good. Raj Al Ghul versus Batman. That first Batman was fucking fantastic.
It was that training, the
Oh
training
my
montage
God, on the
Yes,
ice,
yes.
on the ice, the '80s montage. Yes.
And I think the first movie alone, which gets overlooked because of the success of The Dark Knight.
Yes.
I think was it Batman Returns?
Yes.
Yes, I think that one. I'd say just that alone makes Christian Bale the
that's
most
two.
intimidating.
Two for Christian Bale. What do you
Listen,
got?
It's if you're just going by the person when they're Batman.
Bro, don't make it difficult. Just pick a
as
Batman.
Bruce Wayne,
Just pick a Batman.
it's hard to not pick Christian Bale. I mean,
I can see why you.
I love
Yeah.
the fight scenes that Ben Affleck had when he had the cowl on. He wasn't playing Bruce Wayne when he's, in that room there and he's crawling along the ceiling and all that. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But they've shown so little
Yeah.
of what he does
Yeah.
because they never built that universe out fully. Where Christian Bale really is the only one that's had his universe fully built out.
Yeah.
Because
Even
of how-
Michael Keaton didn't have
And
as
he was
much.
tested against really dope villains. Like they had him really going in there.
Well,
the whole training,
Christopher Nolan did a great
fighting.
job.
Yeah.
He did
Yeah.
a fucking great job.
But speaking of Michael Keaton, he's supposed to be playing in the Flash movie, Batman
Yes.
again,
In the Flashpoint.
in the Flashpoint.
are we leaving Robert Pattinson out?
That guy, man.
Oh my god!
That
Listen,
movie,
man.
That movie
He ain't
hasn't
even-
hit yet.
How
yeah,
you-
he
how you gonna do-
hasn't even been shown, and I hate him.
How you gonna do Cedric Diggory like that? Come on, man. Harry
Degree
Potter.
Listen,
don't.
if-
Degree don't.
if the rest of the movie looks like the trailer, fantastic.
Yeah.
because the trailer is ridiculous. I love with the tone of what they're going.
Right.
with
He
that.
could be good, but we haven't seen it yet.
The movie's
just
not out
Batmans
yet.
That we have.
And I know we
thus
disregard
far.
your question, but the worst fucking Batman is George Clooney because he can't turn his fucking head in the suit. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah. George Clooney.
Come on.
Oh yeah, that one was.
I mean, his head is one solid thing of rubber.
I'd have
I
to
mean,
go with Val Kilmer. Val
Really?
Kilmer. I felt like he phoned it in, even though Bat Nipples' suit was bad. For me, Val Kilmer, like he does a lot of things really great, and I love him in a lot of movies. I think he's a great character in a lot of movies.
that was Batman Forever.
Yeah, but I
Yes.
just
Okay,
couldn't
yeah.
see him as Batman. Like no matter how much I enjoyed the movie for what it was, he took me out of it. I kept seeing Tombstone.
Yeah. At least that's what you wanted to see, but you were watching Batman.
Yeah, exactly. What about you? Who's your worst Batman then?
Jesus. I think it's
Jesus
gonna,
never played
I think
Batman.
it's gonna be,
Don't bring him into this.
Oh God.
this may be another three for poor Val there, because once you reminded me, God damn, it was bad.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Like George Clooney kind of still had like a little bit of charisma, like Playboy philanthropist.
But
you
he
know what I
couldn't
mean?
turn his head.
No.
How do you
Zoolander.
how do you
Steel all over again?
You can't even fight the Riddler if you don't turn your head. Like that's it.
I mean, technically, the Riddler was kind of always a puss anyway, so like he can always get his ass kicked by Batman. But you know,
Not if he can't turn his head.
yeah. All right, so let's jump back into Marvel then, right? As far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is concerned, I think they have done a great job.
Yes.
I think they've killed it every corner. But I'd like to discuss
it's-
some of the older Marvel
it's
movies.
the blueprint for what they're doing with Star Wars.
Marvel is the cinematic universe now.
It
I
really-
mean,
it really is.
isn't Endgame like the highest grossing film of all time?
I get choked up watching Endgame. I mean, when that scene where like they're like, on
the
your
gates?
left,
Oh,
on your left, Cap.
no.
I'm like, that's my boy.
Well, you have to think. I mean, when Endgame came out and the scene you're talking about, spoiler alert if you've been living under a
If you
rock.
haven't seen it, go
But
fuck
anyway,
yourself.
exactly good. But that's like what, 15 years of
Yeah.
film?
Yes.
15, 16 years of film coming to a head. I mean, that's a generation. That's
I mean, even the movie before Endgame, the Infinity
Infinity
Wars.
War.
Yeah.
Me and my brother saw that movie twice. in
Yeah,
the
back to
theaters.
back.
And the first time we seen it, the movie theater was silent. After the snap, motherfuckers are dying and just fading out. Like, people are crying in the audience. Grown-ass people wearing Iron Man shirts like, no! You know, like,
Yeah.
they couldn't believe what was happening before their eyes. There was actually a guy, very intimidatingly, said, they better not kill the Black Panther. Oh, hell no.
Yes, no, we
They
went-
better bring the Black Panther back.
We might have been in the same movie then, because I remember that guy. I remember fearing for my life. I was like, I remember thinking in the back of my head, please don't do anything to Black Panther. Please don't do anything to Black Panther. It just
when they
just
kill the
won an
Black
Oscar.
Panther, they're
Don't
like,
do this.
We just got the Black Panther, and you're gonna kill him.
As soon as he
Now,
started to
what the
disappear,
fuck?
Now
as soon as he
that-
started to disappear, the oh hell no
man.
guy was in
That-
my theaters too.
That movie, the second time, because we watched it the next day,
Mm-hmm.
because half the people that were trying to come the first day didn't make it with us, and they were able to get tickets the next day. We went along. The second time was so much better, because knowing it was coming and getting to sit and hear the reactions, and I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, no,
It was silent.
We were laughing.
I was the only person making a noise that wasn't crying, and I was laughing so hard as people were dying, and people were offended.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It was like when I watched the Titanic, not a Marvel movie or a DC movie, and the people are like bouncing off the ship, like bing, 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 and I was laughing in the theater. Women everywhere are crying, like no, Leonardo, and this and that, and people are bouncing off of the ship, dying. I'm like, that's fucking great.
I laughed in Joker. I laughed in Joker when he reached out for the midget's legs.
Another great DC movie, but think about that too. Like, not to switch gears so quickly, it was dark.
Yes.
It was played well. Joaquin Phoenix,
He's a monster.
murdered the role.
The dark. Like,
Yeah, it
like-
was. Yeah, but that's their lane, and they should stay in it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, or not necessarily stay in it, but that's where they shine the most.
That's where they
thus
could
far.
expand off of.
You know, because after watching the Suicide Squad, and no spoilers on it, I think Suicide Squad was done well. It was made for a mature audience. Don't bring your kids; you'll get offended.
They also took somebody from Marvel so they can get it done right.
yes,
Yeah.
but
Shout out
they,
to James Gunn.
But they did a great job with it. It had just enough humor. It wasn't forced,
Full frontal male nudity.
which Ian loves. But also, it was just done for the right audience and done the way that people that follow the comics could enjoy.
Well, the comic itself, yeah, it's a violent comic, the Suicide
Right.
Squad. It's
It's
in the
the
fucking
Suicide
title,
Squad.
the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the maybe Suicide Squad. It's
No,
the,
it's the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It's what they do.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and when you talk
Leave
about
your
Marvel,
fucking kids at home.
when you talk about Marvel and DC, like the impact on culture
Yes.
as a whole is incredible, right? Even from when we were kids, and like you had your groups, you had the nerds, you had the jocks, you had the goths, you know, like everybody knew what superheroes were, whether they wanted to admit it or not. Everybody kind of had a secret superhero in their back pocket that they were enjoying.
The jock had like the Superman shirt, you know. The kid that was in the corner loading his gun had the Batman tattoo.
or the Wolverine cigar.
It made him easy to spot then.
Yes. Easy.
Hey, Logan, I'm on your good side, Logan. Hey.
Yeah. Which was another movie that was done well. Was it rated R, Logan?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it needed to be. I think that actually took that X-Men to the next level. Like Logan to me was probably the best of that.
And that's a chunk of the universe they're filling out, this kind of alternate timeline. And it's because they've got the Old Man Logan, they're doing one with Hawkeye. So they're filling out. It is very, very, very almost DC-like dark, dystopian. Everything went to shit.
Are we gonna get a actual Hugh Jackman Deadpool crossover? Like,
he's been teasing.
It has to happen.
He's been teasing
they
that
trolled
he
each
may
other
come
for
back.
years.
It has to happen.
I think so. I think it would be great. And if they do it, we need to see Hugh Jackman in the traditional yellow and brown.
God.
It is
Wolverine suit. Even if
maybe
it's just
after
a
the
joke.
credits.
Even if
maybe
it's just
after
a
the
joke.
credits. After the credits.
Like, listen, Deadpool comes out. He's like, hey, I got a costume for you. Try it on. And then he walks out. He's like, I'm not wearing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, so you can pull it off with that.
That is the one thing he said that he regretted was never getting on screen the actual from the comic outfit.
Here's your opportunity.
It's time.
And I think the
It's
two
time,
of them,
Hugh. Why do you work out if not for the tight blue and yellow spandex? Why, Hugh? Why the deadlifts? Why? We're getting off topic. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all
apologize.
good. No. I would love to see one of those movies, Wolverine, Deadpool together. To me, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope they do it.
He's been teasing he may come back. They kind of officially brought Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic.
They did.
He did the little thing with Korg where they were talking about his Free Guy movie,
yes.
which was hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's great.
So it's a nice little he's here. Mm-hmm. Well,
You can use him.
And technically, one of the people in this Black Widow movie they just played was a mutant as well, and they officially
said that he was a mutant.
That he was a mutant.
Interesting.
Scarlett Johansson's a little on my heart. I don't know how to feel about her right now.
Yeah,
Scarlett.
Listen, I will always love Scarlett Johansson, but
for all the wrong reasons.
Disney,
listen,
how do you sue? Well,
that's like going against the government. Like
Disney
is the biggest corporation in the world.
There's an interview that Kevin Smith did, and he actually talked about this type of stuff where it's super common because the accounting departments in a lot of these movies will do shit to make it look like they didn't make money, and then you, to get those documents, have to sue them to get them to then pass them off to your accountant so that you fucking get paid. So it's actually a very common practice to sue the person who's sitting next to you at the premiere.
Wait.
It's, how you doing?
So
Good
you mean
job.
that Disney doesn't want to pay these people, and they're online making it seem like she is the worst thing to come since the Antichrist.
That's the Disney PR.
We're ashamed of you, Scarlett Johansson.
If she
Disney
breached,
PR, maybe.
They're scolding her on social media.
If she breached her contract, they wouldn't have fucking paid her. But they breached the contract on their end, and all of a sudden, she's the bad guy.
That's great.
They breached the contract in upwards of $50 million.
Knows how to paint a villain,
if you owe me
it's
$50 million, I'm getting a fucking lawyer also.
Mickey's up on his throne in the castle.
That's a lot of goddamn money.
They Cruella de Vil her right away.
Listen, DC, here's something DC did right. They saw that coming, and they went back into negotiations before releasing the movies on HBO to satisfy their actors before they launched them there.
So you're on Scarlett's side.
In the movie business.
Are you, or are you? Do not sugarcoat this shit.
I already said yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Are you?
I mean, maybe we don't have all the information.
Yeah. No, the information came out. They actually...
They're trying to screw job her. Okay.
Even Marvel Studios, the head there, said he was embarrassed for the way Disney responded because he said before the movie came out that they need to work this out beforehand.
And they just
because
dropped it.
this is her contract, and this is one of your biggest stars, and they refused. And then they launched the movie in a way that goes against her contract without negotiating with her after they were told. And then they blamed her, saying, in this world of COVID, how do you do something like this? Throwing her under the bus as if she's responsible for the fact that they're releasing the movie against their own contract.
You would almost think as if she wasn't signed to do any more movies as the Black Widow.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, like they had a replacement
so basically, Mickey's just sitting on his throne of children's skulls, just like, oh, we have to destroy our reputation. Oh. Got it. Gotcha.
Yes,
Loud and clear.
yes.
Got
Damn. All right, so
such a wholesome family company Disney is.
So let me ask you guys then, right? As wrapping this up.
Wrapping it up?
If you had to choose, okay, well,
I have no place to go.
If you had to choose between the two, and I'm encompassing everything, Marvel, DC. You had to pick one.
Like we can only reside in one universe and give up the other forever?
One universe.
And just cast the other away?
Which would it be?
Right now, it's Marvel. It's Marvel. There's really not much of a question about it. I mean, DC's doing good with their animated stuff. Their live action is gone to shit. And they got the TV, but they won't acknowledge it.
You need to watch Suicide Squad. You need to watch it.
Acknowledge any of the stuff they got on TV.
You know what? You're right. We didn't bring up the fact that DC has a real strong foothold in the teen sector.
Yes.
With the CW. They have The Flash. They have Stargirl. They have Black Lightning. They have
all excellent
shows.
Have
The Arrow.
Smallville
was
I enjoy them all.
Was the creator
the
of all of it.
precursor of it all.
Lois and Clark now, I believe it is, or is it
Lois and Clark? Clark and Lois. I'm not sure. I watched it. It's excellent.
It's actually really good.
It's good.
It's actually.
Last time I took you guys' advice, I was happy. So I'll take a look at it. Thanks, guys.
All right. So, but for you, it's definitely the Marvel universe.
It's going to be Marvel.
Okay. So then, with that said, if you had to pick one character out of the Marvel universe, who is your favorite?
Fucking Logan. Come on, dude. Oh, man. Seriously.
Wow, look at the wall.
So Logan versus like Weapon X versus Wolverine, like the Logan, old man Logan style Logan.
If you're going to pick a particular version, then yes, Logan, because when he's going by Logan is when he has all of his memory back. So he has all of his skills as a samurai, all of his skills as a detective, all of his skills as a
Didn't
shield
even know he had
agent,
detective under his belt.
all of his skills as Weapon X, all of his skills as when he was a spy in Madripoor. He's a monster when he has his memory back.
Dude, love
this answer was he had it in. I feel unprepared.
So all right, so Ian, no pressure.
Jesus
no pressure.
Christ. You gonna do
DC
this to me, Ed?
universe, Marvel universe.
Oh God! I mean, I've been a Superman fanboy my whole life, but even that, I can't deny Marvel's success. And growing up, to touch on this, I mean, Stan Lee was just such a character. Yes. It's the one thing DC didn't have. Yes. He was like a larger than life, magical human being. Just he made it okay to be a nerd. He made it acceptable.
A fantastic showman and invited
to
people
buy the comics.
Yes.
And when you hear these characters, the Fantastic Four, the Amazing Spider-Man, when you hear his
Incredible
voice,
Hulk, Iron Man,
yes,
like the X-Men.
He made them more than just freaking characters on the page.
When people go ahead, I apologize.
No, it's good.
When people talk about Stan Lee, right? They talk about the single greatest creator in comic book history, right?
Yeah.
He's created all of the greats, and he led the charge for Marvel Comics to be as big as it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being the spokesperson. As
right. He made
it so eloquently.
He made it such a, his whole thing, Excelsior. He made the whole thing so, like...
Bro, he's got Method Man on his own Marvel podcast,
right?
Saying quotes of Stan Lee.
Yeah. And when we lost him, it was like so tragic. The world felt like such a not quite as magic a place,
Yeah, I agree.
And for that record, I'd like to say, fuck Bill Maher, for all the negative things that he said.
Let's go into this Bill Maher. Why do you hate him?
Why do I hate Bill Maher? Because Bill Maher took it like the week we lost Stan Lee, he goes on his shitty ass fucking propaganda TV show and says, the country is mourning the loss of a man that made imaginary characters. I just want to let you know, Bill, if I see you, it's on site. It's on site, you little big-headed motherfucker.
Right. You better throw hands,
that's
bitch.
Right. I don't care if you're shopping with your kids, Bill.
That's
it's on.
right. Listen, if you bring your cameraman, I got him. I got
That's
the
right.
cameraman.
Thank you.
got
That's friendship. That's friendship. So anyway, yeah.
Eddie
So,
will bring the water.
so yeah. So yes, I mean Marvel was a bit was. I mean, I read both, but Marvel was definitely my childhood. And I mean, one character. Like, if I had to pick one fucking character, I mean, I don't know. I was an angry kid, so I always wanted to just be able to get even angrier.
Gwen Stacy?
Yes. No. I'd go with the Hulk. I'd probably go with the Hulk. Man.
And, I mean, Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk, like he stapled Marvel like TV back in the day. Imagine being big enough as a human being
To be the Hulk.
to just be painted green
Yeah.
and made the Hulk.
No CGI. Just paint him green.
Fucking wild.
He's a giant motherfucker. Still.
Oh, he was enormous.
Still.
He was enormous.
He actually had an interview recently saying, like, we need to get away from CGI and back to guys like me being painted green. He's like, I'm still available. You guys want me? I got the wig.
There aren't too many people big enough to be painted green.
No.
And then
The Hulk's what, like 9 foot tall?
Actually, the Mountain could be a live action Hulk, right?
Maybe. He's what,
He doesn't need to
6'11"?
act.
He's
Like,
6'11".
he could pull the Lou Ferrigno.
could.
Just don't talk.
Doesn't he still have like Bell palsy? Half his face is like.
I think he still
Even
does, at
better.
least partially.
The Hulk doesn't have Bell palsy.
Yeah, he could.
Gamma radiation, man.
listen.
He's immune to it. He regenerates.
New generation.
His face would straighten out.
He's like, this is my angry face.
We are going to have a female Hulk here soon
Yes.
because they already got all the casting lined up for all that.
I'm both
And it
terrified
looks
and
really
turned
good.
on.
It's actually the girl that played multiple roles on that British TV show, wasn't it? She played like different versions of herself.
I imagine she has to be just jacked.
It was good. She's a great actress. Actually, I think she's gonna do a good job.
No, they're probably
She-Hulk.
it's probably going to be the same thing where they CGI,
CGI her?
Hulk. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
But
that'd be cool.
even the female version of Hulk, even She-Hulk, she was never nearly as big as Hulk. She was
No,
just
she
as
was like-
powerful.
She was like lean, mean, and green.
Was his cousin,
Yes.
wasn't it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I had to choose between Marvel and DC, and it's tough because I'm bringing everything, all the factors into play: the comics, the cartoons, the movies, and I do have.
Don't do it, Nelson. Sit with us. Don't do it.
Keep going 3 for 3. Keep going 3 for 3. You
do
son
have
of a
a love
bitch. You son of a bitch.
for the Green Lantern. Like the Green Lantern to me is my favorite DC character, but I'd have to go Marvel as well. I really have to. And Captain America is going to be my favorite superhero. I know that a lot of people like to find some characteristic that they feel that they can embody in a superhero, something that they can take as a part of them. Like you said, I get angry. I like the Hulk.
yeah.
Hulk smash. You break ribs when you're doing CPR.
Hey, listen, I still passed it. I'm certified, by the way. I passed today.
Eddie came out of the womb looking like an old man. So old man Logan, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Look at the beard.
Nelson Rosa, ladies and gentlemen.
Fantastic.
And for me, it's Captain America. You know, I served in the Army, infantryman myself. I like the ideals that Captain America was always fighting on the right side, whether other people thought it was right or wrong. He's like, this is my moral compass.
Yep.
I stick to it, even in like the Civil War, you know?
You just want to punch a Nazi.
Yeah, I do.
Fair.
So if you know a Nazi, send them my way.
Yeah, send them to the studio.
I will punch them in the face.
Or just give us their address.
Yeah.
We will deliver the punch.
I don't know how safe that's going to be. Knock on the door. Excuse me, sir. Are you a Nazi?
Are you a Nazi?
Why, yes, I am.
If it were only that easy.
That's a wrap.
There you go.
All right. I think that was a pretty good podcast, but I have one last question for you guys.
Oh, shit. Oh, man, this is deep.
And somebody told me this the other day at work, and I was just like, man, you're right. If you had to replace Chuck Norris
Oh, man. I knew this was going to be a tough one.
with one other character or person even, because Chuck Norris is a real person,
Yes.
who would it be? And I'm going to start this off and leave you guys fucked, because my pick is Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
John Wick, The Matrix, Constantine, doesn't touch people when he takes photos. The man is a legend
So they have to be a legendary figure that you want to just pick up the mantle
of Chuck
of
Norris.
Chuck Norris and try
Chuck
to run
Norris
with
is
it.
gone. To me, Keanu Reeves picks up the fucking belt and he walks away undisputed champ.
If it was John Wick, I would agree with you.
They gotta be
Because
younger.
Keanu Reeves was the first person I thought of, but it's his characters that are in real life. He's one of the nicest people, apparently.
But also does jujitsu.
He does. He does. And you know, gun training and all that other stuff.
So he's a real life badass.
I'm gonna say Ric
Thank you
Flair.
for agreeing with me.
I'm gonna say Ric Flair.
Say Ric Flair.
Oh,
Oh,
my God.
woo! I like it. He's flamboyant.
Yeah.
He's got what like sparkles and glitter all over his fucking.
I spent more money in this country in bars on
Diamond.
liquor than you made.
Oh, there's no more American than Ric Flair other than maybe Hulk Hogan. But
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Now Hulk Hogan's real name's Terry, so no,
Anybody named Terry out the window. Sorry.
Terry.
Sorry, unless you're a girl. And
Yeah.
Terry's
Yeah, Terry, then Terry's
woman
fine.
Terry, you're fine. Yeah, but man Terry.
Man, Terry, you gotta go.
I
sit
can see
with
why you got to go with Hulk.
Yeah, you have to sit with men named Keith.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. Sorry, Terry.
Keith and Terry.
Keith and Terry
If
over
I
there.
got to pick someone, I think you guys are flawed. I think you can't replace Chuck Norris.
So wait, you're gonna replace Chuck Norris with Chuck
Chuck
Norris?
Chuck Norris.
Boo! Cop out.
Because that is what happens, and it's Chuck Norris me.
Get the
You
fuck
don't
outta
fucking
here.
win. It's always Chuck Norris.
That is true. Well, he
Rock,
does make
paper,
Fuck you.
scissors.
Put the music.
Chuck Norris. God damn.
Jesus.
All right. Hey, listen, you can find us on all your social media platforms on
Sofa Kingdom OFC.
Nice. Join us next time. Don't forget to tell your friends to like and subscribe.
We'll bring snacks.
Yes, and I win, Keanu Reeves.
How dare you try to replace Chuck Norris, you son of a bitch.
Chuck Norris once ran around the planet and punched himself in the back of the head.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. I hear that Chuck Norris's blood is the cure for COVID. You want to defend Chuck Norris and you got no Chuck Norris jokes. The fuck out of here.
Oh man,
Yeah, that was a good one.
that was good. That was good. Solid. Solid.